Hi guys, my name is Hank from Green Acre Birds, and today I'm going to talk about why your chickens stop laying in the fall and winter months. Have had chickens for about 2 years now, you know that these stop laying around fall time in winter. Now chickens will stop laying because they molt the feathers, and when chickens are molting, all of the feathers, you can tell by all the feathers on the back are kind of starting to come off, and some of them on the sides and stuff, but mostly on the back, so kind of just the feathers will come off. And don't flip out and think your chickens have a skin disease or anything, because they actually don't. But what will happen is the feathers will come off and they will stop laying eggs, because that's kind of like a break for them. So, like, if a chicken lays eggs all year round, it's not going to be the healthiest chicken. So they stop laying eggs because it's a break for them. It's a rest for their body. So with chickens, how you can tell is the feathers will just kind of come off their back, kind of like a dog sheds his hair for summertime, but chickens do it for winter. And chickens will absolutely stop egg production for about 5 weeks to 6 weeks. So it's not terribly long, but it's a kind of a long time. And chickens will definitely not, some chickens will still lay eggs, but especially with daylight saving time, they're not gonna lay as many eggs. So it cuts back a couple hours, and chickens like it when they have a lot of time. That's when they want to lay eggs. That's basically why they stop laying eggs. So if you have a couple chickens, you're wondering why they're not laying eggs, this is the reason. Because of daylight savings time, gets dark faster, and I think it gets lighter earlier, maybe. I don't know about that stuff because I don't follow it. But, so it cuts off about 2 or 3 hours of their time, and that's time that they would have during the day to lay eggs. So they're not going to like that. But, you guys need to make sure you give your chickens plenty of pellets. Now, I like to use pellets, and I also like to use, you can get kind of bags of pellets that's not actually pellets, it's just kind of mashed pellets. But I like to use pellets because they're a lot better. And make sure you guys give your chickens pellets and table scraps. Table scraps are awesome for them. But don't just feed them table scraps. So, yeah. So the chickens behind me are actually fed with table scraps and pellets. And so now that the chickens are getting kind of used to this time zone, they're going to start laying eggs a lot more. They will start laying 2. So usually when they're in molting, you'll get like 1 or 2 eggs per day. And we've recently started to pick up to about 3 to 5 eggs per day, which is actually really good because we need those eggs, and they're really delicious. Fresh farm eggs are the best. You guys know that from my videos. But so the chickens will start egg production, and they start kind of just picking up on the egg production, which is just really great. It gives them a break in part of the year, so they won't lay as much, but they're going to pick up, especially if it's cold where you live. You're not going to get as many eggs, but if it's warm, you're more likely to get a lot of eggs. I probably should have mentioned that in the beginning of the video, but when it's warmer, you will get more eggs. But if you live up north, you're not going to get as many eggs. But our chickens are actually going up right now because it's only 5 o'clock, and they're already going up because of the daylight savings time. But the chickens are going to need that scratch, some pellets. I like to use whole pellets, as you guys, I just talked about how I like to use whole pellets. But I love to use whole pellets because of all that. And honestly, table scraps are perfect for them, but if you only feed them table scraps, it's not gonna, like, they need the actual pellets, because those are good for them too. You can get organic pellets or non-organic from the store, doesn't matter. But if you want your eggs to be organic, then you could get organic pellets. And the chickens need all that food to start reproduction of the eggs. Now, if they don't get all that good protein in them, they're not going to lay as many eggs. And I really think you guys need to give them plenty of food, plenty of water. Should have mentioned that. You need to give them plenty of water. The chickens are going to need that water and food, and that is how they start laying eggs. But the reason why is because they need a break. So when chickens are, it's kind of like any animal. They need a break from laying eggs because it's really hard for chickens. So they need a good break, and a month and a half to 2 months is going to be perfect for them. Now, around the end of fall, so about 4 weeks away from Christmas, they're going to start laying again, or 2 weeks away or whatever. And they're going to start laying a lot more. And then when it starts to get really cold and snowy, if you live where it can snow and it's really cold, chickens are not going to lay as much. So, for example, if you live in Georgia or Florida or South Carolina or something, you probably will have the same amount of eggs as I do here. And I live up north, sort of. And so you guys will probably get the same amount of eggs from the same amount of chickens. The reason why is because the chickens are already used to that temperature. But if I take my chickens and put them down in Florida, where you guys might live, they're gonna start laying in the winter totally for a long time. Then about 1.5 to 2 years, they're gonna be like, I'm used to this weather now, I'm not gonna lay in the winter. So I'm just saying. But you guys should always have food, water, and there's not really anything that you can do to really get them to lay a lot more. I mean, I'm sure there's stuff that you could do, but there's not too much stuff. So basically, that's going to wrap it up for this video. Make sure that you guys give your chickens food and water and table scraps if you want to give them table scraps. And if you just have a couple chickens in your backyard, you probably won't get any eggs, but maybe like 1 per day. And I know some people that have a lot of chickens, and they have like 100 chickens, but they get like 3 eggs per day, which is just crazy. So it doesn't matter how many chickens you have. There's always going to be some young chickens that lay a lot more than the older ones. The older ones are not going to lay as much. But that's going to go ahead and wrap it up. It's your choice, so if you want to subscribe, go ahead and please subscribe if you do want to, but it's your choice, and it's not my choice, so go ahead and subscribe if you want to, and, like this video if you want to, it's your choice, and I'll see you guys in the next video. In the next one, peace out.